Hi, Randy Ojeda here from Cigar City Radio, and this is episode 62.
Hi, Jason Solanas here with the Jar Stopper. If you have a husband that thinks condoms are enough, but you just need that glass wall protection, the Jar Stopper.
If you love Cigar City Radio, and we know that you do because you're listening, you can subscribe to the show via your favorite podcast app, whether that be on Android or iOS or Windows Phone. Do people still have Windows phones?
I have no idea if people still have Windows phones.
If you have a Windows phone, download a podcast app on your Windows Phone store and subscribe to us. You could do it. We're everywhere. Just search for Cigar City Radio. It's easy to find. We're even on Spotify now, so you don't even need a separate podcast app. You can listen to all your music, all your favorite records, and Cigar City Radio in the same spot, all episodes. It's beautiful. And you can find us on social media. How? Well, our new intern Kasha is going to let you know. Kasha, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Cigar City Radio.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
The episode you're about to listen was recorded at the world-famous Blind Tiger Cafe in the heart of Ybor City, Tampa, Florida. The Blind Tiger Cafe is a speakeasy-inspired coffee house. We serve vegan pastries, coffee, tea, beer, kombucha, etc., etc., etc.
Our guest on this episode is now two-time. I said two-time, Jason, two-time.
Two-time and Billy.
Two-time guest, Billy Mays III. He's the son of the legendary pitchman Billy Mays and a prominent member of the Tampa Bay electronic and experimental music scene. You can go all the way back to episode 9 to hear our original episode with Billy Mays III. But this week, we catch up about his recent touring, his new album Channels, released under his name Infinite Third, and he tells us some exciting plans to continue his dad's legacy. So find Infinite Third on Spotify, Apple Music and Tidal, or infinitethird.com. Follow him on Twitter at Infinite Third, and check out the Billy Mays Digital Museum at billymays.org. So here it is, episode 62. Two-time Billy Mays III. Mm-hmm. Welcome back. Thanks. Welcome back to the show.
Am I the only two-time guest? Or
No, you were the second two-time guest.
Is there a three-time
Which is kind of more fitting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There has not been a three-time guest, so it would be fitting.
I'm going for that.
Yeah, it would be
next
fitting
year.
for you to be the third.
2018.
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, and you were one of our very first guests, like very early on in the podcast. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. Like, you know, I feel like we've come full circle.
We've grown together.
We have grown together. Well, you haven't stopped doing things. You know,
but you guys haven't either. So.
Yeah, that's like a second. That's true. But you got the new record out, Channels, and you've been heavily touring. I have to say,
yeah.
I was like, for months, I was like, where is Billy? Oh, he's in New York, or he's here, he's there.
We did 2 full months this year, which I don't know. It doesn't seem like that long, but when you get back, it doesn't seem like that long, but it seems like forever. It's a really weird thing.
It is interesting because we were actually in New York on the same day.
I know.
I don't know. Did we talk about this?
Yeah, but you were too cool to meet up with me.
No, I was too. Well, yeah.
No, honestly,
too far. Honestly, yes. No, I was too far. We were too far into Brooklyn. I don't remember where you were playing, but it was like I was like, man, there's no way that I could do both things.
I did a yoga set in Brooklyn that was just totally weird. Honestly, New York beat the shit out of me, and I didn't even enjoy it at all.
Really?
I was like exhausted.
Why? What happened?
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, New York has that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It was my first time really trying to get in there and do stuff, and I was with my wife, and we were just drained. It was just like spiritually, emotionally drained, and money drained. I got my car towed the first night, stuff like that. Well, I stopped them from towing it, but I still had to pay the ticket. We're trying to save money, and it's like. It wasn't a good time. But
yeah, see, that's what we manage a bunch of bands in New York, and like a lot of what we do is in the New York scene, and I love New York, and like my aunt lives there. Growing up, it was like a second home. We'd go to New York every summer, but I never want to live there, and I've had many opportunities to move there. Several times there were like things pointing like, okay, let's go to New York, and it's because like, for me, I mean, maybe it's different once you live there and you get more settled, but like, Jason and I will go to New York for a festival or something, and like it's 4 or 5 days of no sleep.
I'll come back and I'll just sleep for like 2 days.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's what we did. We actually made it out to the Hudson Valley after that and stayed with some friends and played some shows, and it was like the complete opposite. And we just want to stay inside and sleep, and just cuddle
and relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about it, because you're a solo artist, so it's you and your wife on tour.
Yeah, she's kind of like the reluctant merch person that she's just doing merch and social media for me just because she's the only one to do it. She knows we need it. Yeah. And she does her own. She freelances in graphic design and artist, a fine artist, and she does like commissions and stuff. But when we're on the road, she's working just like we just become nomadic, and we'll get to a town and go to a coffee shop and work for like 5 hours, and then go to the show, find a place to sleep, do it the next day.
That's sounds fun though.
Yeah, no, it's honestly it gets to be such not magical tour feeling anymore. It's just like our house is our car, and it's a Subaru Outback. And
there you go. So you thought about just going all out, getting the camper?
Thought about it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm cool with the Outback right now because we couch surf.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. I don't like maneuvering those big vehicles around cities and stuff.
You don't want to like attach like a tiny house to a trailer and just,
No, I don't think so. Maybe a little. If there was some kind of like pod that could go on top that we could sleep in, that would be sick. But
it's
how
probably
about one
there.
of those VW buses?
Yeah,
the newer
that's
ones.
true, yeah.
With the thing that just pops the fuck up.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Those are sweet.
Yeah.
So you did the tour first, and then you did, was it Kickstarter or?
Yeah, I basically we got back on August 1st, and I knew through June and July that like the next step is crowdfunding the album. And this album has been in the works for 3 years or so. I think we talked about it last year when I was on.
Yeah.
And it was still just like, I don't know what the plans are. I'm just going to,
it was still like an idea at that time.
Yeah. So August 1st to September 1st, I just totally finalized every plan I had I was working on during the tour. And then on September 1st, I launched the Kickstarter for 40 days. And the first week was great. And I think I raised like 20% of the goal in the first week or more, which like seemed
awesome.
like a great time. And then the next week was the Hurricane Irma crap.
Shit.
So I didn't
right.
I didn't even promote it for a week and a half because I was like I left town. I went on another tour
because you don't want to be that
week.
guy when people are like worried about the hurricane. You're like, hey,
it totally went on hold.
Man.
I still got some pledges, like couple, like 1 or 2 per day, but I was like, oh man, we might not make it.
Yeah, here,
that's what it was.
Yeah, people that weren't bracing for the hurricane.
Yeah, so we ended up leaving because we were already tour ready. So we packed up more stuff that we cared about from our house and went up to West Virginia where a festival was happening that I had turned down this year, which I've played every year for the past 5 years, called Culture Fest. It's a very small festival in West Virginia. And I put out on Facebook like, hey, we might leave Florida just to be safe for this thing. And the people from the festival were like, come up here and we'll pay you to do a set, And then I played 2 sets and made I made the gas money back and everything. And
yeah, that's awesome.
So it ended up just being a fun time, but it was stressful still, like being worried about that shit. If you remember, it was
that was a stressful time. That was for like everybody.
The most mass anxiety I've ever been a part of, I think.
Yeah, no, like it's amazing how quickly like everybody ran out of supplies. Like there was just water shortages and the wood shortages, like things that you didn't really think about.
It was just a big game of now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah.
Man, I was in California, but my whole family's here, So I was like really anxious for like a week, and everyone was like, "What's going on with Andy?" And I was like, my entire hometown might be gone next week.
Yeah,
like it,
No, and then they kept showing like, well, because the media's got to make it a mass hysteria thing, so they kept showing that footage of like the storm surge, and this is how South Tampa is going to be completely underwater, and it could have happened.
My favorite one was the day of. They had like 5 pictures, and there was a dude reporting like in front of a blue screen, and the blue screen had palm trees, and they inserted a CGI fucking ocean.
Oh my god!
Like up to the top of the goddamn palm trees.
Oh my god!
And like the pictures were all just like destroyed land.
Yeah.
And I saw them scroll a fucking mouse over one of those things, and it was a YouTube video.
Oh,
it wasn't even real.
Yeah.
Just totally fake.
They totally give the storm this personality that just is coming for humans to kill them, you know?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I remember the night it was
you know?
coming, there was a Time magazine headline that was just like, Irma sets its sights on Tampa after all. You know, it's like, it was like, what the fuck?
man?
It's the war goddess Irma. And it was just like, it had so much. It was a crazy time.
Everything pointed to
Yeah.
death.
So you do have to hit Floridians over the head with it, though.
Yeah,
because
they won't leave
because we
if-
brush it off, and even my parents were just like, it's not
Yeah.
gonna hit us. It's not gonna hit us.
Book it.
Yeah.
And then it sort of didn't hit us.
Well, people think it didn't hit us because of the burial grounds. You know about that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's like some sacred grounds here that we've kept, and people think it helps us
that's what
avoid
it
them every time.
People were making memes of it and shit. There was a Wolf on Wall Street thing where he was going, "We're not leaving.
Yeah.
We're not fucking leaving."
Well, you gotta love the memes that come from any tragedy. And
It's true.
you know, nobody realized that when you think about what the apocalypse is going to be like, that there would be a million memes and live streams and,
Yeah, right.
and commentary about it as it's happening.
Yeah, of course.
Horse what?
Yeah.
What's a horse?
So things go on hold for the hurricane,
Yeah.
but then you come back.
I came back and I was like, all right, I can kind of pick this up again. I got out there, I was playing shows again, and I got a little discouraged. I was like, maybe it's just not the time. You know, I was trying to raise $10,000.
Kickstarter is hard, man.
Yeah, I mean-
crowdfunding. That's I hear that from a lot of bands. Like, yeah, we're just going to do a Kickstarter.
No.
We're going to make all this money, and I'm like, I don't know if it works
No,
like that, guys.
it's
Most of
yeah.
them fail. You know?
Yeah. So I think what then ended up happening, which was a totally different style of this, was I have a lot of contacts in the direct response TV industry from my dad.
Yeah.
Who I know they usually support my projects. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start reaching out to some of them because they're not in Florida. We're kind of over it now. And like, so I didn't even know that this is how it would line up. So the day I go, all my schedule says is like, reach out to some of them and tell them about the project and see what they want to give, if anything, or be a part of it. And that day happened to be the Vegas shooting, and they were all in Vegas for a convention for the direct response TV industry. So friends of mine were in the hotel, locked down the whole day. So anyway, so I'm sitting here like, oh, how tragic that I can't promote my Kickstarter to them. I wasn't really, but I felt like an asshole. I was like,
but at the same time, I mean, you already had the hurricane and then now the Vegas shooting,
and that's all people were talking about for a week too. But
Yeah.
it ended up being that last week, which happens a lot, I think, just everyone kind of rallied. I didn't really have to do anything extra.
yeah. So it's still like,
So it happened, and we even made like an extra 1,000 on top of the goal. So we made about 11,200.
Oh, awesome.
Which, you know, I have like stretch goals and stuff that this all went to vinyl and shirts, and I pretty much have merch for this whole next tour, I would say, moving forward, that is all already paid for from my backers, which is a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I can negotiate prices and stuff, and it's all helps the cause, you know.
No,
profits.
and that's great that you were able to do it. You know, so for other artists that are listening, like, what did you learn from doing this crowdfunding campaign?
What you said was the most important is like organize the shit out of it. Like I organized this for 2 years and rethought how to do it the whole time. Rethought the goal. I tried to make it valuable, so it wasn't just like you get a sticker for $50. It was like, no, for I think my number was $7. There was a bundle package that I was like really proud of that was like $75, and you get shirt, sticker, vinyl record, name in the credits, handwritten thank you note. Like I wanted them to feel like they're getting something.
Yeah, like they're
it's
a part
like
of
the
it.
bundle package.
Yeah,
Like you get everything that I'm making from this project, and it's not that much more than if you would just buy it a la carte later. It's or less. I mean, it's less. It's less than that. It was like it was a deal in that sense for them if they wanted all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, an art print, like a 1 of 100 art print. I'm doing that's still. We're still waiting on the records actually because it takes long. But
records like at least 2 to 3 months.
yeah.
You know?
So we're the test pressings were just approved last week, and
Nice.
they should be in late January, early February. So
That's
Yeah.
right on.
I'm excited
So
to
did
have
you
them
feel
in
like
there.
you were kind of channeling your inner pitch man for this?
totally,
one,
yeah.
know?
I mean, the album's called Channels,
Yeah.
which is
Hey.
this funny thing where, the themes behind it played so much into the making of it and into what you're talking about, like having to channel like what it is that like being the son of this pitch man, you know. So
Yeah.
on another note, now that the album's done, I'll bring this up now because it's where I'm more focused on right now. The album's out there. It's done. I'm getting great feedback on it. I'm basing my tour on it. I'm thinking about the next album. I feel like I have a good finished product. I'm using this record now to like talk to labels in the future and stuff like that. But now that the album's out of the way, I've kind of shifted my focus back to something we talked about, I guess, earlier this year whenever I was on, which is telling my dad's story.
Yeah.
And so some big things have started moving because I've stepped into it more post-album to get the documentary made. And
really?
There's a lot of interest in it.
I didn't know it was going to be a documentary.
Yeah, so there's a documentary that I just want to kind of tell my dad's life story from start to finish and kind of let there be a parallel story going that's modern day, me researching his life and talking to everyone that knew him and pitching myself as well, like pitching products and stuff and just trying my hand at it, you know? And side by side with that is I'm also trying to amass the ultimate digital archive of his work. So every commercial he ever did in high quality, every interview he ever did, every skit he was ever part of on Jay Leno and stuff like that. And every meme that gets made about him, every art piece. Because I still get them every day, you know, a couple every week, you know, is like.
Yeah, I think I texted you once I was at MegaCon.
Yeah, right.
And I saw some guy dressed as your
dad.
Yeah,
the cosplay. Like, there's always great.
Yeah,
it's just something I feel like I have to do, and it's the perfect time to do it. We're coming up on the 2019, June 28th, 2019 will be the 10-year anniversary of his death. So I have this sort of internal loose goal to put the film out on that day and just kind of like, you know, give it that. Because I do that with everything. My album has all this like weird numerology that I've made up myself and, you know, little coded messages and stuff like that.
So what's the process like for, you know, because you said you're talking to all these people and trying to get the digital, like, is it easy to like get those?
It's easy in that compared to my music, this has way more support just in general with the general public. Like the music is more just like this out there art project sometimes, but the movie and the archive and all that, there's so many people that my dad affected in his life that it's there. Like it's the interest is already there. So I'm just kind of representing him now in the world. So
yeah. So you're just trying to catalog it, right?
Yeah, and right now I'm literally like last night I met with a bunch of people that I loosely know that like spent so much time coming up with him in the industry, and they had all these great stories that I didn't know about how he. Well, this is just a funny side note: is that this guy who's another pitchman but not as famous, but his name's Bo Riles. He used to be on HSN. My dad was on HSN Home Shopping Network, and Bo was selling a ladder on TV Live, and my dad had this thing where he kind of took over HSN, and he was just this loose cannon because he would sell out every time because he was provocative and he would curse and they'd have to bleep him out.
Yeah,
but they couldn't tell him what to do because he sold out every product he brought on, and he was like he made it a bigger thing than just home shopping, and so this guy Bo told me that he was on Home Shopping, and my dad was coming off a different airing, and he jumped onto the set and started pitching the ladder for him, and just like. Started making jokes and he didn't talk to him about it. This was not planned. And he got on this ladder and he's like, if this ladder holds me, then you have to buy it. I weigh 200 pounds or whatever. And he gets on it and they're afraid it's going to break, but he's like bouncing on it and it doesn't break. And they sold out the ladder. Yeah. And so my dad's like apologizing to Bo after, sorry, I was just feeling energized and stuff. And Bo's like trying to pay him. Like, no, you made it sell out. So, you know, but my dad didn't take anything. So there's just all these awesome stories that I didn't even know about how generous he was, which I knew he was generous, but it's crazy how many just little stories here and there must be, you know, if I'm always hearing them.
Yeah. Are you going to like really go all out and try to get like, you know, some stuff from like, you know, South Park?
Oh yeah. Well, I really want to go to Trey and Matt's studio and talk to them just for like a one-day shoot and kind of, I think a big part of this movie is going to be just really conversational, me meeting for coffee with people that knew my dad and taking little moments and asking them questions and then kind of stringing together the timeline through that and then using all the archive footage, obviously. And thankfully there was a show called Pitchmen on Discovery Channel that my dad was on before he died. He died while it was airing its first season. It was really successful, but thankfully that's a lot of behind the scenes, high quality footage that exists and a lot of storytelling already. So I can probably license that and use it. But I've been convinced now that I can make this movie on my own, get some investment, team with like a filmmaker and production team and all that, travel around, go to his hometown, our hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and eventually have a finished film and sell it to a distributor like Netflix or something like that. And that's the plan. So
I like that goosebumps. I'm like, I can't wait to see that.
It's just something that has to happen. It's not like, it's not my art. It's not, it's not for me really. Although it obviously it'll benefit me to get this part of my life, kind of off my chest.
There's definitely like a catharsis there, I think.
Yeah. And as far as the archive goes, there's this plan is running directly parallel, and a lot of the contacts are working for both or helping me out with both, which is a nonprofit organization called BillyMays.org, which will basically, the mission is to kind of transition his legacy out of just pitching for gadgets and products and making it that he and I are using our name and likeness to pitch for good causes. So when you go to this archive, I really want it to be that instead of having ads or something selling ad space, it's going to be like highlighted. It's going to be donations to run it. And then there's going to be free ad space for good causes that I believe in. Like I've been listing for a year or so, all these causes that I really agree with, even little local causes like CASA that helps domestic abuse survivors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like so into it. And I think that it's my dad's unfinished business. I think he was slowly transitioning out of that world and into entertainment, which would have freed up his persona to kind of do things he actually cared about a little bit more and is from his heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was good at what he did, but I don't think he ever got a chance to like see it to the next step, which would have been kind of a more meta take on his character that he was like stuck in at that point.
Yeah.
Like as this over the top pitch man.
So the plan for this one, 2019, is what you're looking at, kind of.
Hopefully, yeah. We don't know. It's the other thing where I don't know what's going to happen once we start rolling cameras and stuff. I don't know what kind of roads we're going to get taken down for it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, because I saw you post about that recently.
Yeah, that was my step out. That was on the full moon. I remember I was feeling weird. I was thinking about music still so much that it almost felt like, what am I forgetting? And then it hit me all at once, like physically, that this is the next project that I have to kind of dive into.
Yeah.
The album's there. I can kind of still play live through this whole time. Like I said, we're touring next year. So the tour will kind of be both to play shows in new places and to network and garner interest for the documentary and attract investors and all that.
Yeah. That's so cool. Like I'm so into that.
Cool.
And I feel like, I didn't know your dad obviously, but I feel like he was one of those people that was always pretty good at like poking fun at himself too.
Yeah.
And I feel like he'd get the meta thing about it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know he was signed to be the spokesperson for Taco Bell when he died. Yeah. And I think that they were going to go in a direction that was sort of parodying infomercials more.
Yeah.
And kinda, he'd be pitching for tacos and stuff, and he was into it. He got it. There's actually a couple commercials out there that he did like for ESPN 360 that are like over the top, not serious at all, but he was like being himself still at the same time. And yeah, I really wanted him to do more of that. So I think, hopefully we can kind of explore what might have happened too in that documentary.
Was your dad like that at home too? Or was like, I always wondered that.
Well, that's one of the jokes. Like I did like a fake interview with Cracked magazine about my dad, like 10 things you don't know about growing up, or whatever, about growing up with a famous pitchman.
Yeah.
And they wrote it. I didn't even write it. I just had to like approve it. They wrote the whole thing. You can go look at it. It's like a really popular Cracked post.
Yeah.
And they tried to say that all these jokes about how when he was telling me like do chores, I would just be like startled and he'd be yelling to do them and stuff. And us having like an OxyClean swimming pool instead of chlorine, just having OxyClean clean the swimming pool and stuff like that. But no, anyone will tell you that he was actually super quiet and not like that at all.
Really? Yeah. He would just turn it on.
He could turn it on, and especially in public, like, because that's where it came from, was from pitching on boardwalks and home shows and stuff like that. He would turn it on. He didn't have to be doing that. It could have been like in Times Square and a bunch of people recognize him. He would start pitching for people, going on people's voicemails and stuff like that, So, but yeah, then even stories I heard last night with those pitch people, it was he would go crazy, and then after it he'd be like, "Oh, sorry if that was too much. It just kind of happened." Like, and they loved it, but
yeah,
he was always just like back to being that down to earth guy, that quiet dude.
So to bring it back to the music a little bit. So
totally.
you said like that. some of what, you know, the album's called Channels, and some of the album was kind of channeling this you know, this inner pitch man,
and not just that. It refers to how I feel I make my music. It's so unplanned, and the best moments of it come from just, it feels like random happenings that just kind of come through. They're channeled, you know.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that. But did you guys see Jim and Andy, the Netflix Andy Kaufman and Jim Carrey documentary?
I haven't watched it, but I've seen.
So it's amazing. I watched it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it didn't hit me while I was watching it, but because I've been trying to decide, like, because I am doing pitch videos even as soon now, because part of the Kickstarter that I did, one of the big rewards was that I would make a 30-second pitch video for your business or whatever. So the Dunedin Brewery was one of them.
Okay.
I owe them a pitch video right now. Symphonic Distribution, Video Shampoo, who made my video, we traded, and I basically said I'll do like a parody infomercial with you guys.
Yeah. Are you gonna wear the whole thing?
Well, that's what I've been trying to decide this whole time. Is like, what is my persona as a pitchman? Am I like just parodying my dad?
Yeah.
Or am I coming up with my own style, or kind of doing a hybrid? And one thing I came to is that I'm not going to wear the same clothes he wore, which is like the blue shirt and the khaki pants. I feel like I don't need to do that. People do that now. Like the people who followed in his footsteps are doing that because, you know, and it's whatever. I don't have no comment on that, but me, I feel like I'm going to kind of modernize it, modern take on it, on being a pitchman a little bit, and not just be a barker, you know, coming at you. But there will be an element of that because there can't not be if I'm going to say it. It's hard for me to say hi, Billy Mays here without going up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and just recently, they're running a Spotify ad for my album. Symphonic Distribution is running one for my album, and they asked me to record a 30-second audio commercial. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this. And I was like, hi, Billy Mays here hi, Billy Mays here. My new album under the name Infinite. And I talked for 20 seconds, 15 seconds maybe, but I realized that I couldn't, it didn't work unless I brought up the energy.
Yeah.
And it made me feel really like channeling my dad. So to bring it back to Andy Kaufman and Jim Carrey, basically he thought that Andy was using him as a vessel to kind of get his work done, or to tell his own story and to finish it and to put closure on his life. And then that kind of hit me as like, well, I'm already like, that's what I feel happens, is that when I go into that world, I'm kind of I'm like the continuation of my dad. So perhaps, you know, he is, whatever you believe, he's using me, or, you know, it's in our DNA to like finish each other's lives out. And,
I mean, he gave you
respect
the name,
each other.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And he always said that too. You know, he's like, once his name started to become recognized, that I should like, you know, use it and see what it, you know, if it creates any connections or anything. So I think he knew what was happening there. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he knew he didn't have that much time too. I don't know. Who knows?
It's quite. I mean, it's definitely a legacy. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's really cool.
It's my duty, I think, to take it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I honestly love the record. Like, I've been listening to it, and I love how you're able to get across so many different like emotions and feelings without like lyrics, you know, or without singing or something, you know, like you can just through your guitar tones and your playing and your expressiveness, like it's a very emotional record, I think.
Yeah. Well, we've always looked at it. I say we, like the people that I've worked with and stuff in producing it, and some of the people I've played with, we've always looked at it like the guitar in my case is the lead vocal.
Yeah.
And I always kind of treat it that way, but not in like a solo-y way. I'm trying to like sing with the guitar more, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely like, you know, distinct melodies.
Because I'm very against like wanky guitarness, but yet I do all these.
It's not a Joe Satriani.
Yeah,
record.
no.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like I'm not that good at guitar, and I stumble my way through it. And no, it's not that I'm not good. It's just I'm not technically good. I couldn't tell you what it's happening. I'm just trying to forget about it and move my fingers on it. I don't know the scales that I'm using, and I don't know all that stuff. But I do know the feeling of a message is being delivered through guitar melodies.
Yeah.
So that's I kind of feel like an amateur in that sense. Is that I'm just always rediscovering. When I play these songs live, it's just always a rediscovery. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and it's great. I love it. It keeps me interested in it instead of just playing the same shit that I always do.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, some of the best guitar players are like that, right? Where you don't have to necessarily.
Well, it's human, you know. It's like instead of being a robotic musician, I'd rather just like be discovering it with everyone the whole time, rather than just being so bored of it that I can like stick my tongue out and make faces. And
Right.
If you're jumping around on stage, you have too much energy for other shit. Focus on your guitar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and what's that like to, because you're playing on stage on your own, like you don't have a band accompanying you. Is it hard to like keep up the showmanship, or?
I don't know if there is showmanship. I feel like I'm so against being as something that I'm not on stage. Like I feel really, I'm on my knees or sitting. First I'm sitting, then I kind of adjust to my knees for like the more intense parts, but I'm constantly tweaking the pedals, and I have a few lights around me, like just cheap lights that I've amassed. And I'm kind of like, I was talking about this today, I'm kind of anti, even though this is like the thing and it's like an obvious thing that's good for music, but like I'm anti having like trippy visuals, even though everyone wants my music to have trippy visuals.
Yeah.
There's something I like about they're stuck with just looking at what's happening in front of them. And there's a dude up on stage and he's just sitting there. And I don't know.
That's cool. Like,
It seems to fit your music better that way because you're trying to create an emotional connection between the music and people directly like that. That seems to be the focus of your music. So why should they focus on the person creating it when they should just experience it?
I also like the idea of like letting people create their own visuals for it.
And that's how I feel right now. Is I don't want to. I didn't even create any music videos for this, which I've always been into doing music videos, and I've always had visions for how they should go. And this time I had planned to, but the whole time I'm like, nothing feels right for these songs. Like they're just songs. They're not.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be like that because, it's like a sin to not have a music video right now.
Yeah, no, I mean.
It probably hurt my press campaign, to be honest, to not have that to push. But I was just like, no, it's a 40-minute record. It's 20 minutes on each side, and the songs run into each other. And I wanted it to be an experience where you have to listen to it all.
Yeah.
So.
And you wrote it like that with that in mind? Like this is a full audio experience?
Yeah. Like there's only 2 moments where the tracks actually stop. So between track 2 and 3 and... there's like a stop and a start, but it's like directly happens. And between track 5 and 6, which is side A to side B, and then the rest is all seamless to each other. So,
what's going on in that first track with the chanting?
Oh man,
and
that was the essence. That was what brought it all together, I guess. Was it's a woman that I know, a friend of mine named Kat Von Gray. She lives in St. Pete, and she's sort of this, I want to say, energy healer or something like that. I don't know what she calls herself exactly, but she uses what she calls a light language that is sort of her just channeling, speaking in tongues, I guess, is what a lot of people have referred to it as.
Yeah,
and
that's what it sounds
like. So she does that, and I heard her do this at a show I played with. It was like an event that I played, and then right after I played, she did this like guided meditation thing, and then went into doing that. And instantly I just thought, she's channeling, I need to put this on my album. Like it all just hit me at once. Like this is how I start the album.
Yeah.
I needed something bold to start it. I didn't want it to just be like my classic ambient music fade up or anything like that. I wanted it to be something where when you turn the record on, you're like, what the fuck? And it's actually disturbing a lot of people. Which
I can see that. Yeah.
So she actually, I asked her to do it, and I don't want to speak for her because I don't know how she actually sees all this sometimes. I just know how I see her seeing it. And we got together, and it was a really intense experience where her husband recorded it, and I was there, and we all meditated first. I told them about my vision for the album, what it means and stuff. And she said, okay, I get it. So they're going to give me a message for you is what she said. And so she went up to the microphone and just belted out like 8 minutes worth of this. That was all over the place, and I took the part that resonated with me. And the crazy part is after it was like, whoa, that was intense. And she came up to me and she said, they want me to tell it to you now. And off recording, she like looked me in the eyes and did like 5 minutes of it. And it was just like a really intense, like personal moment. But, I grew up in like the Catholic Church, and I feel like a lot of people hear that voice and think that it's like satanic or something like that, which, I mean, I'm into like satanic imagery because I think satanic is usually just referring to like anti certain religious ideas and like trying to shake people out of their belief.
It's not necessarily a worship of Satan.
Yeah, no, it's like antagonistic in a way to dangerous ideas, which I've always liked. So, I get really positive vibes from her doing it, even though I know it's intense for some people, and some people have told me they've had to skip that track, and that's fine. I wanted it to be like they're uncomfortable at first, and then it slowly gets more relaxing. I think the album as it goes,
and then it flows into the next song. You're
Yeah,
like, all right, cool.
yeah.
All right, I can do.
So that's kind of the whole point of my live sets, is that they get uncomfortable, too loud, too noisy at first, and then they go into like prettiness and relaxation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're getting a reaction out of people, and
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's like what does John Taffer always says on Bar Rescue? I'm not in the bar business. I'm in the reaction business.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's about getting reactions from people.
Yeah.
You know?
See, what you do is you put down a red napkin when someone comes into your restaurant the first time.
I love this.
Yeah, no, the butt funnel that he came up.
The butt funnel?
Yeah, you never heard about the butt
No,
funnel?
what's the
It's
funnel?
apparently this is his
Wasn't
invention.
that Steve-O's idea?
No,
Like
John
butt chugging?
Taffer patented this shit, man. He invented this thing where like the railings would sort of move inwards to force people when they're exiting and coming onto a dance floor to like touch butts,
What?
like to move in closer together, and that was his idea. That was the butt funnel.
Wow.
Yeah.
How can I harness this for my shows? I want people touching butts when they're
You need
they're
more
coming
butt
to
tell
my-
them to,
Yeah. Just tell
Bring
them
in
to
the
now.
bar rescue guy.
Yeah.
or no, bring in the Restaurant Impossible guy.
Oh no, the Restaurant Impossible guy's a little
People
too
would be
intense.
punching each other's asses.
See, but that's kind of where like your dad's show Pitchman was going, though, right? Is like kind of that sort
Totally,
of
yeah.
reality,
Yeah. But helping inventors connect with the industry to get to see. My dad always cared about the inventors.
Yeah.
And that was what made him different. And that's what everyone tells me about from the business, is that my dad was a little different because everyone else was, there's a lot of companies, I won't say any names, but their thing is like they say we're going to help inventors, and then they just kind of take the idea and give them like the smallest percentage of what they make from it.
Yeah,
and it's a
they're
standard
trying to
thing.
they're trying to make
But
money.
my dad wasn't about that. And he, at some point, there was a deal where OxyClean, his product that he put on the map, and it was all handshake based. There wasn't like a contract. He was just pitching for OxyClean. And then it got sold to Church & Dwight, which is the company that owns like Trojan condoms and Arm & Hammer and stuff. And it was this huge deal. And they bought it under the assumption that my dad comes with it as the spokesperson, but there was no contract. So my dad felt really screwed by this and was just like, he threatened to go look at other companies to join and stuff like that. But they ended up giving him some kind of deal. But I think that moment in his career kind of put him back on like the hungry side of like, I just want to take these inventors and like get rich with them, help them get rich so we can all make money together. And it was kind of his vision of, he was 50 when he died, and he only became famous when he was 40. Yeah. So he had this 10-year period where he had some power to give back. And I think that he had this vision of the American dream of like somebody invents something and then just like it takes off, which I don't know if I completely agree with everything that he did, but I know that his heart was in the right place, that he just wanted like these humble dudes to get to the next level just based on what they invented. So
on the value of their hard work.
Yeah.
I watched Pitchman. I watched every episode
Nice.
of Pitchman.
So you saw me in it too.
I saw you
in the
Pitchman.
background.
I watched the first ever Billy Mays OxyClean commercial because I was up late all the fucking time watching that shit.
Whoa.
And my favorite moment I think I've ever seen with your dad on anything is when they had the guy with a double saw fucking sawing a car in half.
Yeah.
That shit was wild.
Yeah.
There was never a better sales pitch for any product.
No, that
I
was
think,
crazy.
ever.
I was on that shoot. I was a PA on that shoot.
That was madness.
Yeah.
That was just a stroke of genius. But I appreciate it.
I don't know if the dual saw is still
that.
around. I haven't seen it, but that's the kind of shit that I have to actually like archive to see who owns that footage and get it cleared to be on the movie and be in the archive. I'll probably just have a YouTube channel that hosts all the HD commercials that I can and all that. So yeah, but the Pitchman stuff, there's some funny things that happen.
there's some
but
moments.
it was totally reality TV stuff too. Like there was a storyline where I hated this. I was a PA on the shoot, and the product was called the Gator Blades, and it was these like state of the art windshield wiper blades.
Sure.
And
That wipes away mud and shit.
yeah, and the demo they decided to do was they made a gun that shoots live crickets at a windshield so that it would splatter everywhere. And this was on the cover of TBT back when they shot it. It was my dad pointing a bazooka at a windshield, and I forget what the headline was, but it was funny. And I was legitimately like, dude, why are we doing this? This is so stupid. I was like really vocal about it because I had a little bit of special treatment on the set. I guess I wasn't just like an employee, but
If you were a regular PA, it wouldn't.
yeah, no, I wouldn't have been. It would have been unprofessional, but it probably still was unprofessional. But I was basically like, we could shoot like pudding at it or something. Like, what do you want to do? Like, why do you want to kill all these crickets?
Yeah.
And so the producers who were shooting the behind the scenes of the shoot for Pitchman we're like, hey, why don't you just like grab that box of crickets and run away? And so so I was like, well, I can't really do anything. And they were like, no, just do it and bring it back. I was like, okay. So I was like, and I ran away. And it turned out to be like the dramatic part of the episode where right going to commercial was like, when we come back, little Billy decides to take matters into his own hands. And it's like, Billy, no. And he goes, no. And it's slow motion. But literally, I just walked back with them. I was like, all right, yeah, I can't do anything. You guys are just going to do it anyway. So... But they made it like this negotiation, like to get me back, and yeah. That's the funny part of reality TV. Right. It probably would have got much worse too.
The magic of television.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have those high stakes, man. Yeah. Without it, what are you gonna do?
Yep.
Little Billy.
Little Billy.
That's fantastic.
I still get called that when I'm around people that knew him.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's just what everybody called you? Because you worked with your dad for a long time, right? Like,
yeah. Since I moved to Tampa Bay, which was like over 10 years ago. Over 10 years before he died.
Yeah.
Or no, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. 15 years, something like that.
Time
but I don't know.
Thing anyways.
But no, I grew up spending time with him at the home shows as well. So when he was pitching, I was under the booth playing with my toys when he would come to Pittsburgh where I lived. Mm-hmm. I'd be playing with X-Men toys or whatever. And so I feel like something absorbed into me in that time anyway. But they called him for some reason Bucket Billy in those days because he had a product called the Washmatic that was a water. You could make a hose from just a bucket and the hose, but it would be a squirting hose to wash your car. So they called him Bucket Billy, and he would have a shirt that said Bucket Billy. And then people started calling me Little Bucket Billy, and I had it. There's all these pictures of me with a shirt that says Little Bucket Billy. It's kind of embarrassing, but
Little Bucket Billy. I love it.
Whatever. Maybe I'll bring it back someday.
Yeah. So, and you said part of this archive too is collecting, which this sounds like an incredibly daunting task. But collecting the memes,
that's
the artwork and the cosplayers and everybody that you see. So how are you going to do that?
I've just already started doing it. If you go to billymays.org right now, you can see a lot of that stuff that I've just put it on a Tumblr. So I'm kind of archiving it myself there. But a lot of that stuff I'm not too worried about. I feel like people are going to send it once they know what it's about and they want to be on it,
Yeah.
But part of the goal is, this is my vision right now, is like the first campaign for billymays.org will be, I'm going to team up with a famous artist like Alex Gray or someone like that to make like a really epic wall-size Billy Mays painting that they gift for us to do an auction and make prints out of. And 100% are going to go towards one cause that I choose. And like maybe the goal is like to raise $50,000 or something. But
that's really cool.
So imagine like the cover of a Tool album, but it's my dad, with the epic art, So I want to make like really fun, funny, exclusive, like fine art stuff, and because that's what I think about anyway. So, yeah, local artists, stuff like that. There's a lot of possibilities, and it's all for fun and for charities and stuff.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's amazing like how many people's like your dad like influenced and touched and. How many people love him.
Yeah, I'm still surprised by it sometimes. I don't know.
Well, it's like I said, I was at a comic book convention. I saw a guy dressed as your dad, and I was like, oh, let me take a picture. I'm going to send it to his son. Yeah. And he's like, what, really? And then like I like messaged it to you on Facebook, and I was like, oh yeah, he says it's cool. And the guy was like, what? He thinks it's cool.
I love when people. I actually did the year he died. I did a Halloween costume contest through my website, and TMZ. Like question this idea because they didn't know my relationship to his public image. I don't look at it as him. It's like his work when someone impersonates him or something like that. And so I did this contest where I was like, I'm going to pick the 3 best and give different prizes. Like I gave basically like infomercial product packages that I had donated, and I gave them to the winners. So in this thing I also said zombie Billy Mays is okay because I knew people were doing that because he's dead now. So and I found it funny, like really good zombie. Billy Mays costumes were cool to me.
Yeah.
So TMZ, how they do these weird headlines where they quote you, but it's not something you said. It's just like your intentions, but they put it as a quote.
Billy Mays says he's happy with his father's death.
Exactly. It said, "I want to be haunted by my father, Billy Mays the third." I was like, what? So then people were like, "Oh, that's so tasteless" and stuff, and I was just like, "Come on!" Like, and same with South Park. Yeah. I'm a South Park fan. I was a little afraid of what they might do to him on South Park, but I watched it by myself. I didn't tell anyone when I heard he was going to be on it. And I was super excited. And I was like, this is the best thing. This is the best. This is like the best honor that I could think of.
Yeah, because in a way, that's going to make your dad more immortal than anything else. You know, like South Park will live on. You know?
Totally. So I was just, you know, people were like, you think that was tasteful? And I was like, yeah, I thought it was tasteful in that they didn't shit on my dad's legacy. They just kind of included him in this storyline and kind of like did what they do. And I think that's the best thing you could want.
Put him next to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, what does taste even have to do with it? It's just, you could tell that they had affection for him. Like,
yeah,
it was an
no, exactly.
thing.
They chose him to be part of it, you know?
Yeah, like,
and that much a part of it.
Totally.
So.
Like, tastelessness is like South Park's thing, but it doesn't mean that it's mean.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly.
It's always silly and over the top. You know?
Yeah.
It's the joke, yeah.
So I want to meet those guys. I know that they knew that I approved of it and stuff. So I would like to go meet them and just exchange the experience from each side, and then maybe leave with some kind of screen print framed signed thing of him, and maybe auction that off. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Really
so
cool. And they seem like the kind of people that, you know, if their schedule allows, I'm sure they would do it.
Popping
you know?
in for a lunch meeting or something and hanging out. Yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue.
Like they seem like surprisingly normal guys.
Yeah,
Trey and Matt.
I really respect them.
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Give us a rundown of what next year is looking like for you, because you know it's pretty much the end of the year now.
Yeah,
so
I've got 3 months of local shows and just my days are pretty much tour booking. So then April, I'm going to be doing the East Coast and Midwest for about 30 days, and then May I'm going to be back around for a little bit doing what I do, and then June and July it's this West Coast, like looping the country. And built into all this is sort of this build up to my ideal goal is to start shooting the movie in August officially, or at least starting pre-production.
Yeah.
And so this winter I would be deep in the trenches of shooting this movie. Is what I'm hoping for. Wow. So that's it. That's 2018 for me. Is like there's not much to fit in there except except playing music and working on the all the Billy Mays stuff. You know.
That's awesome, man. Well, any final thoughts for the Cigar City Radio listeners? No. Mr. Two-time guest, Billy Mays.
Man. No, I just check out my album channels if you want. It's on Spotify and all that, and Apple Music, Bandcamp.
Yeah, and don't search Billy Mays. Search Infinite Third.
Yeah, you can search like Billy Mays music. I bet. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, I think there's like a jazz drummer actually called Billy May that comes up.
Those jazz drummers.
Yeah, but Infinite Third channels. I actually have a follow up. I shouldn't say follow up, but it's sort of an ambient drone reinterpretation of the album that's coming out exclusively to the backers and Bandcamp subscribers that I'm finishing up now. That's completely meditative, no drums, no heaviness. It's just this like droney experience.
Sweet.
And it's called Listening, and it's kind of got like the same naming scheme. It's like anyway. And then I'm going to be in the future during all this time, because it doesn't require much work for me, is I'm going to be curating a remix album of channels. So if you're a producer and you want to be part of that, hit me up. I'll be sending out stems and stuff. Yeah, so I want it to be like, I'm fine with it being like 20 or 30 tracks of just every kind of remix you can think of, and just for fun too.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I'll do a remix.
Yeah, dude.
It'll suck, but I'll do it.
I would be into that. I really want I want someone to just totally do something effortless and just like put it through a tape player and just start breaking the tape or something, you know, like a noise remix.
I'd love to like just sit in on one of your writing sessions sometime and see how this happens.
I don't think there is a writing session.
Oh,
I don't know if there is writing. It's a combination of just playing and maybe before I go to bed, playing the album in real time in my head and seeing what changes each time. That's probably the process.
It's very cerebral.
Yeah.
Cool.
A little too cerebral.
Too cerebral. Hey, it works, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, Billy Mays the Third, two-time. Welcome back. So, just